Hi, everybody. This is Beth Misner with Abundant Health Qigong, and I have another guest with me today, Wahneta Trotter. Wahneta is an Ayurvedic specialist, and she has some special stuff to talk to us about today. Hi, Wahneta.
Hi, Beth. It's so good to be with you.
Oh, it's great to have you on my Zoom call, and I'm looking forward to sharing you with my whole audience. And hopefully people can learn a little bit more, or a lot more, right, about Ayurvedic treatment and specifically Panchakarma, which I had the pleasure of taking part in at the end of November all the way until the present day. I think I'm still settling with the Panchakarma treatment. But my audience, their first question is going to be, Pancha what? What is Panchakarma?
Yes, and most people even kind of back it up to what is Ayurveda?
Yeah. Well, where would you like to start? We've got some time together this afternoon to explore both of these topics.
So, for those of you that have not heard of Ayurveda, but have maybe, heard the word Ayurveda in a yoga class or heard some mention of it, in terms of, oh, and these are all the holistic medical systems that are available to you now. Ayurveda is the oldest medical system on the planet. It's called the mother of all medicine because all medical traditions have come out of Ayurveda. The first recorded text on Ayurveda has been dated back to 5,000 years ago. And so that's the first codified, meaning written text. It was an oral tradition for thousands of years before that. So as our best guesstimation is that Ayurveda is actually about 10,000 years old. And when we say all medical traditions have come out of Ayurveda, it's for a number of reasons. And one of those is because in the long history of India as a country, because its origins are in the Vedic culture of ancient India. India was invaded many times over many centuries and millennia by all different cultures, and that caused an integration of their traditional wisdom systems, and it also caused migration of Indians out of India into other parts of Asia. And even into Europe. So there is an influence of Ayurveda on Greek medicine, Tibetan medicine, Chinese medicine, Japanese medicine, and even Western medicine, because there are actual texts written on surgery where they show patients being anesthetized, and in the text they give detailed anatomical drawings and description of nerves that have to be moved around and cared for during surgery. So it really is a very, complex, thorough, complete medical system. It's holistic because it's also the very first mind, body, spirit healing tradition.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's it in a nutshell. That's a long elevator speech.
That's wonderful. No, I'm really digging this. I love what you're saying. And I have seen, as a medical Qigong practitioner, I have seen the influence of Ayurveda on the traditional Chinese medicine also.
Yeah. A lot of similarities, a lot of forks in the road as well, but a lot of similarities.
Yeah. One of the things am most impressed with is the use of natural plants and herbs and substances for use by the body rather than leaning toward medical interventions with medicines and drugs. I really appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about Panchakarma. What in the heck is it? Who needs to do it? And what do you do when you do a Panchakarma?
Okay. So Panchakarma, the word or the two words Panchakarma translates as 5 actions of cleansing. So Panchakarma is the traditional cleansing and rejuvenation process of Ayurveda. Panchakarma is very unique in, the cleanse culture that we're in because it has that rejuvenation component to it. So Panchakarma, the term Panchakarma is actually kind of an umbrella catch-all phrase for the entire process of a Panchakarma. A Panchakarma begins with what's called Purvakarma, or the prep phase. Then the Panchakarma itself are the treatments that we do in-house at my office. And then the third phase of a Panchakarma is the Prashadkarma, or the rejuvenation phase. So we have three distinctive phases of a Panchakarma. And I'm just going to describe what a sort of very general Panchakarma looks like. Because one of the things that makes Ayurveda so effective, and in my opinion, more effective than any other system that I have seen, in practice, is that Ayurveda recognizes that each person is a completely unique individual. There is no other one that is just like you. So your treatment is therefore unique to you as well. So while there is a sort of general guideline that I use for Panchakarmas, your Panchakarma is also going to be unique to you. We're still going to use the 5 actions of cleansing. We're still going to do the prep, the pancha, and the rejuve phase, but it might look a little bit differently for each person based on their constitutional type, according to Ayurveda, their diet and lifestyle, their medical history, and their current diagnosed conditions. So all of those things factor into, 1, your eligibility for a PK, and 2, what your PK looks like. So let's say that you're a person that, comes in, calls me up and says, I want to do a Panchakarma. A Panchakarma always begins with a consultation, so that I can determine what that constitutional type is, what your diet and lifestyle have been, what is your medical history, and are you a candidate? Because we have to look at all of those criteria first to be able to assess whether you have the endurance capacity to undergo a PK. Now that makes it sound a little bit, dire or ominous or hard, but it's really not, because you're so well cared for throughout the process. But the cleansing process can be a little bit challenging for some people. I call it the best worst 4 days of your life, because it's really only 4 days, but it's pretty strict. So the Panchakarma is, like I said, begins with that prep phase, the Purvakarma, and that begins with a 4-day mono diet of khichdi and vegetables and dal. And every one of those 4 days, you start your day drinking a medicated ghee. That medicated ghee is what makes it the best worst 4 days, because it's typically a very, very bitter ghee that's designed to clean your liver, your lymph, and your blood. It also has this incredible suction action that extracts ama from your tissues. And that's one of the great things about Panchakarma, is its capacity to cleanse the body of ama. Ama is metabolic waste from undigested food, toxins, medicines. We also accumulate ama in the subtle body in the form of undigested thoughts, emotions, and experiences. So the 4 days that you're at home doing the mono diet with the medicated ghee is really a very important process to the whole cleansing portion of the PK. It's amazing what those 4 days can do to a person, right?
Yeah, and I'll have to just interject and say, I started day 1 on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
That's how committed I was to getting on your table by the date we had set up. So yeah.
So and that, what?
It's intense, but it's also good. I had this sense of heightened expectation, anticipation for what was coming next. I enjoyed the 4 days. Wasn't a big fan of the medicated ghee toward the end, because you are increasing it each morning, and finally I got to the point where I reached out for some help, because it gets pretty intense.
Well, and that also speaks to, if you're not experiencing some degree of discomfort, I have to question whether you're doing it right,
Exactly.
you should have some degree of discomfort, because the medicated ghee is a very powerful, very strong medicine.
Yeah.
And like I said, because it has this incredible capacity to extract all that ama from your tissues, your liver, your lymph, and your blood, that is the degree to which your body has been holding on to all of that toxicity. And so the worse you feel, the happier I am. That means we're
Ultimately, the happier I'm going to be. You know, I really like that.
Yeah. And then, so what we do at the end of those 4 days is we do a purge. We accumulate the ama, then we purge it out of the system. Okay. So once that ama is purged out of your system, you typically feel like a very different person, because basically you are. You've been living with a massive amount of ama in your system, and now it's not there anymore. Okay. So once all of that ama is out of your system, we start another very important process, which is called Samsarjanakrama. That is what we use to rebuild your digestive fire, or something that we call in Ayurveda your Agni. And your Agni is the single most important determining factor for quality health. Your Agni is what breaks down food into nutritional information that builds all 7 layers of tissue in your body. Once those 7 layers of tissue are built in your body, it creates then what is called your ojas. Your ojas is your immunological capacity.
Yeah. Ojas, ama, agni.
Yeah. Agni equals ojas.
There you go.
And when you've got those 2 things going, you are less susceptible to the accumulation of ama in your system. Okay. So that's one of the reasons that, we always start with an intake, because we need to assess what the state of your Agni is. What is the state of your ojas? If your Agni is very low and your ojas is low, we need to do some work to tune up the Agni, get your ojas up a little bit, and then begin the Panchakarma. So once we've done the cleanse, and we start with the Samsarjanakrama, the day after you cleanse, we start rebuilding the digestive fire, so that we start rebuilding all 7 layers of tissues in the body. And that's when we start the Panchakarma. That dramatically assists in the rebuild of the bodily tissues, as well as the continuation of a gentle cleansing of more ama out of your system. So what you do when you come in, the Panchakarma is typically 7 consecutive days of treatment. And I always begin my Panchakarmas with 3 consecutive days of oleation, meaning we're oiling the body with a specific Ayurvedic forehand massage that is just super yummy, right?
Ooh, it was wonderful.
And it softens the body. We steam the body with the oil on it, and that softening and the steaming and the doing the Shirodhara, which is the warm oil that's poured continuously over the forehead. That's the treatment that allows that subtle ama that's accumulated in your mind and in your nervous system and your subtle body to be released effortlessly. That is one of the most important healing therapies that we have in Ayurveda. And sometimes when you say to people, oh, yeah, I practice Ayurveda, they all go, oh, you mean the thing with the oil on the head? I'm like, yeah, that is a part of our system, and it's a very important part of our system. But it's also a very important part of my particular Panchakarma, because our mind does have a profound effect on our bodies. And so as we're cleansing the physical body of ama, we also need to pay attention to the mental ama, so that together they're starting to recreate a healthy whole. So, and again, getting back to the actual process itself of softening, lubricating, fomenting the body allows all the channels of the body to open and release more ama. There is an enema that's done every day at the end of the treatment, so that we can assist in that process of softening the digestive tract, grounding the nervous system, lubricating everything up, loosening up more ama, and then coming in the next day with an herbal water-based enema to gently purge some of that ama out. All the while, we're continuing to rebuild the digestive fire and bring all the constitutional types, the doshas, back into balance. So the way that I conduct these panchakarmas is a very supportive, very thorough system to bring you back into constitutional balance. So that ultimately is the effect of a panchakarma, is to reestablish constitutional balance. I also use it to address disease pathologies, because I get a lot of what I call mystery disease people, autoimmune conditions, Lyme disease, heavy metals. And the mystery disease people are the ones that have gone from their general practitioner to specialist after specialist. Some of them have been to Mayo and Cleveland and so on and so forth. And they typically get a non-diagnosis or fibromyalgia or, one of those, we don't really know, so we're just going to tell you this kind of thing, and you just don't get well, and most times you're getting worse, and they're giving you this medication and that medication, and that's putting a big load burden on your liver and your kidneys, and you just don't get well. And so that's when it's time to get you on the panchakarma table and just bring some intelligence. And this is one of the most important things that I want to point out about panchakarma and about Ayurveda in general, is that we have a different understanding of how the body works. And when people come to me with these mystery diseases and autoimmune conditions, that to me is I see it as a loss of functional intelligence in the body. And so when we go through this process, this deeper healing process, it reinvigorates functional intelligence in the body. So everything and every part of your body starts working together with intelligence the way it was designed to.
Yeah, fabulous. Then after we're on your table, there's a period of time afterwards that you're still being rejuvenated from the inside. Tell me a little bit about that timeline. What does that look like?
Okay, so that's the Prashadkarma. So we have the Purvakarma, then we have the Panchakarma, and now we're in Prashadkarma. So Prashadkarma is the work that you do at home by doing nothing.
I love that. Love it.
So when you're done coming into the office for those 7 consecutive days of treatment, you go home. You're still kind of on the mono diet a little bit. When you're doing the Panchakarma, I'm cooking all the food for you based on the state of your Agni, your digestive fire, because we cannot overburden the digestive fire. We have to make our food match your digestive capacity.
She's a really good cook too. Oh man, yeah.
So you go home, you maintain the Ayurvedic diet for a few days, and then you start incorporating all your regular foods back into your world, depending again, and I'll be checking in on you and asking you, how's your digestion? Yes. Are you bloated? Are you gassy? Are you heavy or sleepy after meals? How's your appetite? Are you constipated? I'm looking for signs that digestion is really bouncing back nicely, that your Agni is bouncing back nicely. And once we're assured of that, you can start incorporating all the different food groups back into your world. And the most important thing when you're going through Prashadkarma is to maintain routines. Eat at the same time every day, go to sleep at the same time every day, moderate exercise, slowly increasing to a little bit more vigorous exercise based on, what your prior routines were. We emphasize the rest and moderate exercise because what is going on during Prashadkarma is the reestablishing of the Agni, which is what builds the healthy tissues. Every 5 days, a new layer of tissue is being built in your body. And when I say bodily tissues, I'm referring to your lymph, your blood, your muscle, your fat, your bone, your nerve, and your reproductive tissue. So
Mm.
we have 7 layers of tissue that is being built in the body every 5 days following a Panchakarma. So anything that you do that disrupts that process takes away from building that quality tissue, and then therefore translates into diminishing your ojas. Okay, so I really emphasize, like, we can do the best purva karma, we can do the best panchakarma, but the Prashadkarma is the make it or break it phase for all of it. So the rest, routines, rejuvenate. The 3 R's are really, really important. Rest, routines, rejuvenate. So you just go back home, you rest, you eat at the same time every day, you sleep at the same time every day, you get a little bit of exercise in at the same time every day, and you let your body rebuild that functional intelligence, rebuilding itself, because that's what's going on. You eat healthy, fresh, organic foods. And after those 3 weeks of that rebuild phase, you start to feel like, oh, yeah, I'm starting to feel a difference.
Yeah.
And that's what the metaphor that I like to use is that, you're like a locomotive coming out of the train station. You're just shoveling coal into the fire. You're just feeding yourself healthy food to your Agni. And you're starting out slowly, the same way that a train pulls out of the train station. You start out slow and you're just feeding the fire, and you pick up a little steam, you pick up a little speed, you pick up a little momentum. 3 weeks down, the railroad track, you're like, oh, wait a minute, something is changing. 6 weeks after, you're feeding them more coal and you've got more momentum going down the tracks, you start to feel like, wow, I don't think I've ever felt this good.
That's right. I don't think I ever felt this good. It's not like, oh, I remember when I used to feel this way. No, I don't remember ever feeling. I mean, you can see the difference in my face and my expression and my body. I mean,
Completely.
really was amazing, and I just am so grateful for the experience with you. I had hoped, I saw you because I was wanting to have another way to purge heavy metals out of my system than chelation, because the drugs that are used in chelation are really, really hard on me. I think they're hard on everybody, but I really have a bad reaction to it. And I have some really toxic metals. I had some that I needed to get rid of. And I took the test last week, and I was so hoping. I called my doctor's office today to get my results because I wanted to have them before we did our Zoom call, but I'll need to post my results on the comments page. So if you're watching the Zoom video and it's after Thursday, March 26th, read down through the comments to get my results. I fully and completely expect, especially the gadolinium, to be as low as, I mean, I'm hoping to see none, but I think that's probably not realistic. But it's definitely not in the red zone or even the yellow zone anymore. So that's how powerful what you do can be.
So why don't you talk a little bit about your experience?
So I have to say the first 2 phases were not terribly difficult. I'm used to doing strict things and really following protocols, but the medicated ghee was a bit intense toward the end when I was taking so much of it. I really was surprised that the castor oil that I used the night before the purging was not unpleasant at all. I didn't mind it at all. And then coming in on the table with you, I got really into that routine, and I really missed it when the 7 days were over, because it was so comforting to be in there and to have the treatments and to have all the body work being done and the steam and then the different processes that we did, and the bastis were fascinating, and using the ghee, and it was just, all of it was delicious and wonderful. You were very nurturing, and have some warm tea and drink some water and take care of yourself. I missed it when that part was over. And when I went home, I was wondering, could I rest and relax? Or would I be tempted to get jumping right back into my busy, busy, busy? And I haven't gotten back into the busy, busy, busy at all, much less immediately afterwards. I really did rest, rebuilt, rejuvenated. It was a new normal for me. it's changed my life in a lot of ways, in very, very positive, powerful ways. It has changed my life, and not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's the whole deal. I really appreciate your thoroughness and the great care you take as a practitioner. And I appreciated the treatments, and I appreciated the effects of the treatments. So thank you very, very much.
You're so welcome. It was really, it's been a wonderful experience working with you as well. It's
Thank,
really great to have people that are, that avail themselves to this work, and that take it seriously, and are committed to their own well-being. And that makes, because what we're doing really is teamwork. I'm not doing it. We're doing it together.
that's right.
So, when we have that kind of synergistic relationship, it just empowers the work so much.
Right. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mother. I'm a better author. I'm a better Qigong teacher. It's just been, I don't know, amazing. I use the word amazing probably too much, but that's the right word. It has been amazing. And I can't wait to do the next one. Your
Well,
recommendation is to repeat it, and I plan to repeat it. I can't wait.
and that's, I think that begs the next question, which is, who is a candidate and how often should you do it?
Mm-hmm.
And my theory on that is that all women, or at least most women, especially because we're different. We're designed differently. Our bodies change differently as we age than men's bodies do. And I really think that this is the single most important process for women to do once a year, to stay youthful, to stay strong, to stay healthy, to stay happy. I have women that have been coming to me for Panchakarma for 12 years in a row, and
Oh,
they
wow.
haven't aged.
Wow. That's good to hear.
They haven't aged. And these are high powered attorneys and realtors and, professional women that take a beating in life, and their first call at the beginning of the year is, when are we doing the PK? That is the one thing that is non-negotiable for them in their life at this age, in this
Yeah.
stage of their lives,
Yeah.
is to know that they're going to be able to disconnect for a week and be cared for, and that's what's going to give them all the strength and the resilience that they need to carry on with the work that they're doing, or just to carry on with the level of happiness and awareness and insight, and all the things that all the wisdom that we're supposed to be coming into at this stage in our life.
Yeah, no kidding. So people now by this point are all on board. They're excited. They want to know, how can they schedule? How can they reach you? What's the best way, Wahneta?
Well, the best way is to either contact me directly, to schedule a consultation, because that is always where it begins. Like I said, not everyone is an immediate candidate for a PK. So I need to assess where you are, what your medical history is, what your current diagnosed conditions are, or if you don't have a diagnosed condition, and are seeking answers to improve your health. And that gives me, that gives me the whole roadmap forward for how to help you. I have a website that's satmyaayurveda.com. If you want to learn more, you can also contact me through there. And we can schedule a consult there. If you want to just call me up and talk to me, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer any questions, because this is like all new language,
That is.
all new process. So it can be a little bit overwhelming. And as you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. So I tend to overshare.
Oh, it's wonderful. I eat it up.
So yeah, you can contact me directly, on my phone, my email, or through my website.
Okay, and all of the contact information is here in the video and also posted in the links below. So
Yes.